He's earned his chance to fight for that belt. Now imagine that Khamzat is here in the United States preparing for that fight with Imavov. That would be my guess if I am thinking about what's next. But the reality is, one, how difficult is it going to be for him to get back down to 185? Because I'm telling you, he looks massive next to Roundtree. Two, how will he compete when he's back down there? And three, how does Imavov deal with the size of Khamzat Chimaev at this point? Because while Imavov was a 185 pounder, Khamzat was at 170. Chimaev looks like the bigger guy. He looks like the much bigger fighter. Now, I'm telling you, you guys have to watch that training footage. He looks like a monster at over 200 pounds. Khamzat Chimaev also has the Sean Strickland issue to deal with at 185. These guys cannot stand each other. Look, guys, when you are two athletes of the highest caliber and you have trained together and you have fought in sparring, one of those guys knows, or someone knows exactly what happened. But as most say, what happens in the gym stays in the gym.
We've seen Khamzat Chimaev fight at welterweight. We see him fight at middleweight. Is he someone that if he says, hey, I want to fight at light heavyweight, we'd see him fight at light?
I'd like to see him defend his title at a weight first. Yeah, I'd like to see him defend his title. Where he talks about jumping around from, you know, you're going to keep going up in weight divisions without defending. Yeah.
So here's what went down. Sean Strickland just dropped a massive challenge that's got the entire MMA community absolutely losing their minds. The guy who's never been shy about speaking his truth just called out what could be the biggest fight we've seen in a while. Meanwhile, Khamzat Chimaev is doing what he does best, staying completely silent while unleashing absolute hell in the training room. Videos keep surfacing showing this beast grinding like his life depends on it, and honestly, it's pretty terrifying to watch. What really stands out is how quiet his team has been. No social media wars, no back and forth nonsense, just pure preparation like this massive showdown is already set in stone.
I mean, he works his ass off. The guy can fight. He's a world champion, you know, but just because you can fight and just because, like, it doesn't really mean, like, doesn't make you like a man, you know? And there's these moments when, like, you see kind of like past, hey, I could fight, he works his ass off, like Costa. It just...
But here's where things get really interesting. Turns out training hard isn't the only way Khamzat's handling Sean's constant callouts flooding every interview and platform. In a move that sent the internet into complete chaos, he basically told Strickland to chill and wait until his visa situation gets sorted through all the proper channels. Then once all that bureaucratic mess clears up, they'll handle their business where words become meaningless. Right there in the octagon where elite fighters settle their differences, the only way that matters. It's both a promise and a threat wrapped into one, showing he respects the process while making it obvious. This war is coming, whether we're ready or not.
Super cool with Sean Strickland. He's been saying some stuff in interviews about, he just didn't like your approach. Just why do you think he's saying that, and do you have a response?
I don't know. When I was there, they never said anything, you know. When I leave the Vegas and when I stop my visa, he start to talk. When I come back, I'm in LA, bro. Come on. If it's something personal for you, just come. I'm here.
Now here's what really adds fuel to this fire. The legendary Chael Sonnen, who breaks down fights better than almost anyone alive, came out and said with zero hesitation that Khamzat's next fight absolutely has to be Sean Strickland. No discussion needed, no arguments to be made about who earned what. Chael even admitted he spent an entire day thinking through every angle to make sure he wasn't letting personal relationships cloud his judgment. He brought up something fascinating about how other fighters act around Khamzat, this intimidating energy that just makes people uncomfortable. But then Chael mentioned what Sean's been saying publicly about their old training sessions from way back. According to Strickland, he was always the one pushing the pace and seeking out the hardest work in the gym. Yet Sean claims Khamzat would sometimes take the easier route when things got really brutal. That just adds another layer to this already heated rivalry.
Khamzat Chimaev must fight Sean Strickland next. Guys, there's no debate. And I had 24 hours to think about this. Because here's what I don't want to do. I got to tell you, as an authority figure in this sport, I don't want to pan Imanov. I don't want to do that. I respect him. I respect what he's done. I respect his patience. But Sean Strickland fought him in head-to-head competition. Now, a couple of things came out. I am behind the scenes, and I can tell you, guys tiptoe around Chimaev. Guys are scared of Chimaev. He has a presence. Sean Strickland said, man, I used to be in the gym with this guy. He's a punk. Ask the people that were there. Sean Strickland said, when I come into a gym, I go find the biggest, baddest dude, and that's who I spar with. When Chimaev comes in the gym, he finds the easiest opponent, takes him in the corner, and beats the hell out of him.
Here's where Son's breakdown gets even more compelling. He dove deep into what it actually means when you skip over someone who truly earned their shot through blood and sweat in that octagon. According to him, you're not just disrespecting that one fighter's journey and dedication to their craft. You're completely invalidating every single opponent they had to crush just to reach that position in the rankings. He made this powerful point about how insanely difficult it is to build winning streaks in the UFC. Those streaks represent everything about a fighter's skill, heart, and ability to perform under pressure. His message was crystal clear: when someone steps into that main event spotlight, puts everything on the line, and walks out victorious, that victory carries enormous weight. In this situation, Sean won decisively against serious competition, and that means he's genuinely earned his place across from the champion.
Disrespected everything that Fluffy Hernandez did. Fluffy Hernandez beat 9 men in a row. If Fluffy Hernandez beat Sean Strickland, that would be 10 in a row. 10 is the biggest number in the history of the UFC that anybody's had to do to get a title shot, and that distinction belongs to Merab. But to remind you, Merab was offered a title fight after 7. So the point that I'm making, if Fluffy Hernandez would have won and he would have gotten a title, we're being very disrespectful to the 9 men that Fluffy beat. We're being very disrespectful to the opportunity that Fluffy should have had. And when you play this game, it's the ultimate poker hand. You're all in. Whatever you got is on the line. You got a belt, it's on the line. It doesn't matter if you're undefeated and this guy's lost 5 fights. It doesn't matter if you're ranked number 1 and he's ranked number 8. When you get in there, it's all on the line, winner take all. Sean Strickland took it.
Sean Strickland has to be pumped right now, but guess who else is completely behind this matchup? Former UFC champion and legendary commentator Michael Bisping, who understands this business inside and out. Bisping revealed he recently spoke with Chimaev directly, and here's the crazy part: Khamzat is currently walking around at a massive 240 pounds. Bisping knows firsthand how brutal weight cuts can be from his own championship days, and he pointed out this is huge for someone who competes at 185 pounds. Dropping 55 pounds is an absolutely punishing process that only fighters who've lived it truly understand. But here's the key detail: Bisping made sure everyone knew Khamzat isn't soft or out of shape at that weight. He's training his tail off in California with elite level partners. Still, despite all this preparation and obvious readiness, there's no concrete title defense scheduled for him at middleweight, which is honestly mind-boggling. Given this weird situation, Bisping firmly believes Khamzat should focus on defending his current belt instead of thinking about jumping weight classes, because that's what real champions do.
Second, now I do want to say, I was with Khamzat last week on the Jackson podcast, and Khamzat Chimaev told me that he is 240 pounds, right? What do you weigh right now, Khamzat? What do you weigh? Come on.
You can keep it a secret if you want.
I don't know. That is gigantic. That is a good weight for a heavyweight, let alone a middleweight that fights at 185 pounds, 84 kilos. That would be a 55-pound weight cut that he has to go through. And by the way, He didn't look fat. He looked to be in really good shape, and he's down there in Newport Beach, California, training, running on the beach every single day. The man is working out hard, but there's no talks of a title fight. In fact, I asked him, who will you be fighting? And he said, brother, I don't know.
His analysis kept going, breaking down the complex situation with Sean and other middleweight threats like the rising Nasruddin Imavov, who's been making serious moves up the rankings. Bisping acknowledged that Imavov is dangerous, fast, skilled, and has legitimate title potential, but he emphasized one game-changing fact: Sean Strickland already beat him decisively inside that cage. Then Bisping asked the question that cuts right through all the noise: who actually deserves it more based on real results. He reminded everyone that Sean is riding a solid winning streak and has proven himself against elite competition, which brings serious credibility to this whole discussion. Bottom line, Bisping concluded that Khamzat absolutely must face a top middleweight next, and the Sean fight is exactly what fans are screaming for across every platform. The reason is obvious: there's genuine bad blood between these two that makes this deeply personal, not just another business transaction.
There certainly is some words, and Sean Strickland has beaten him before, beaten via decision. The reality is, who deserves it more? I don't know. Sean's only on a 1-fight win streak, but he is a former champion. Imavov hasn't done that, right? The reality is, Chimaev has got to fight one of them. I know he's talking about going up to 205, or he's thinking about going up to 205, and making 185 from 240 pounds will be very hard, okay? But I would love to see him in there with Strickland, certainly when he says that he choked him out multiple times, and his lightweight training partner choked him out a bunch of times. And then you've got Strickland calling him a Chechen, and all this type of stuff, right? Talking a lot of shit, talking a lot of smack, not afraid to poke the bear, shall we say, right? That fight's got to happen. I want to see it. You want to see it. The whole world would love to see it, right? So I think he's got to...
When the conversation moved from politics to the brutal reality of how this potential war would actually unfold, Whitaker stuck to his main point with unwavering confidence. He gave Sean credit for having legitimately strong takedown defense that's worked well throughout his career. It's a solid skill that he's used effectively against most opponents in the division, but engaging Khamzat Chimaev is a completely different beast from anything Sean has probably encountered in his entire fighting life. Whitaker's insight comes from actually being in there with Khamzat, trapped in that cage, experiencing his relentless assault firsthand. He emphasized Khamzat's total domination of opponents with a level of control that's genuinely rare to witness. It becomes obvious that the sheer power and unmatched skill of Khamzat's grappling is nothing like what Sean Strickland has faced throughout his career against mostly striking specialists.
Is he the contender, do you think, next for the title in your mind that could potentially have the most challenge to Khamzat out of the possible contenders right now?
Oh, it's hard to say. Like, I definitely think he has an argument now, especially because he's beaten Imavov and because of the way he put away Fluffy. But honestly, it's anybody's guess. You know, it's anybody's guess. The title fights and like contenders and that whole conversation is just so, random.
Another respected voice in the MMA world, John McCarthy, a legendary referee and analyst who's witnessed thousands of fights, has been saying from day one that the middleweight fight everyone needs to see has to be Strickland versus Chimaev.
I mean, I know you've been in there with Khamzat, man, and Sean Strickland's taking defense is pretty good, but we haven't seen him in there against. Like, would you say Fluffy and Khamzat, it's two different levels when it comes to the grappling, would you say, like in terms of the way, the strength? And, yeah.
Absolutely night and day. Like, having been in there with Chimaev and seen, and everyone who saw what he did to Dricus, like, there's not, mate, like, it's not the same. It is not the same.
For McCarthy, the situation couldn't be more clear-cut. Sean just delivered a dominant victory that showcased his skills perfectly, then immediately challenged Khamzat, the current champion who doesn't have an obvious next opponent lined up. This is the kind of perfect timing and opportunity that rarely aligns so beautifully in this sport. McCarthy also tackled the possibility of Khamzat moving up to 205-pound light heavyweight, which keeps getting mentioned as an option. He strongly argued that Khamzat just captured the middleweight title through pure dominance and hasn't even defended it once yet. McCarthy's firm belief is that real champions have a fundamental duty to defend their belt first before chasing other weight classes or legacy-building moves. He clearly stated his preference for keeping Khamzat active at 185 pounds, where he just won the title. Then he smartly pointed out how quickly fans and analysts destroy other inactive champions across different divisions and question why Khamzat shouldn't face those same strict standards of accountability.
Sean Strickland should be the next middleweight title shot in the division, and I'm going to tell you why in today's video. My name is James Lynch. So Sean Strickland getting a huge win last weekend at UFC Houston in the main event, taking out Anthony Fluffy Hernandez by knockout. It was a picture-perfect performance here from Strickland, getting the third-round finish, stopping Hernandez and his 8-fight win streak, and solidified himself as a contender in the weight class. And right now, at the time we're talking, there is not a fight booked yet for Khamzat Chimaev. There's been a couple rumors out there, but you heard Strickland after his fight with Fluffy Hernandez. We'll play a little snippet of it here. He talks about what he wants next when Michael Bisping asks him, and Strickland doesn't hesitate, talks about Chimaev. We're going to watch that clip here real quick.
Next, Sean. I don't know, man. Chimaev gets off the bench here. I like a piece of that little Chechen. But you never know with him, bro.
Yeah, so you can see there, he wants this fight. And then to go even further, Strickland at his media scrum before, of course, he was cut off, which I'm not a fan of, talks about how he made Chimaev quit in training. Now, I'm not usually a fan of fighters revealing things in the gym. I think that's bad practice, but this is only
After McCarthy's solid arguments about keeping divisions moving, Brendan Schaub, another prominent media figure, weighed in on Imavov's potential title shot, and his reasoning was simple. Schaub noted that Sean already beat him convincingly, and more importantly, Sean is clearly the bigger draw from a business standpoint, which is crucial in today's fight game that can't be overlooked. Schaub explained that the UFC thrives on stars who sell pay-per-views, especially American ones who connect with the massive US market, and this matchup is perfectly positioned to succeed because it makes complete financial sense. He confidently stated that Sean would jump at the chance to fight immediately, mainly because he finished his recent bout virtually untouched, taking no serious damage while staying in peak condition. Schaub went further, predicting that if Sean manages to beat Khamzat convincingly, the UFC would suddenly have an absolutely massive American superstar on their roster, someone capable of headlining huge cards. This factor, Schaub kept stressing, represents the major commercial element that promoters simply cannot ignore. It's pretty obvious why Sean specifically targeted Khamzat as his next opponent instead of anyone else in the division. Sean just proved beyond any doubt that he remains one of the best fighters on the planet, a true elite contender who belongs in championship discussions. Plus, he's a definite crowd magnet, whether fans love him for his brutal honesty or absolutely hate him for his controversial statements. Khamzat represents the perfect high-profile opponent to capitalize on all this momentum and excitement surrounding both fighters. Really, this whole thing comes down to perfect timing and an unstoppable force pushing this fight toward reality. Sean just delivered a powerful statement to everyone who doubted him, proving exactly what he brings as a fighter. He silenced critics with his performance, looked sharper and better than ever in his recent showing, and everything keeps pointing in the same direction. Meanwhile, Khamzat sits as champion without any clear next challenger in sight, creating the perfect storm. The storyline for this battle has been perfectly built through their exchanges and shared history. The tension is absolutely real, not some manufactured promotional angle, and their contrasting fighting styles create meaningful intrigue that guarantees fireworks for fans. Sean's relentless forward pressure and sharp volume striking against Khamzat's devastating grappling and raw power presents a truly fascinating test for both elite fighters. There's zero sign that this massive excitement and anticipation will fade anytime soon. If you book it now, and I mean immediately, this looks like a genuinely huge event with championship implications. When a fight feels this significant, thrilling, and makes perfect sense from every possible angle, you don't second guess it or overthink the situation. You make the fight, sign the contracts, and let these warriors settle their differences where it counts most. Both guys are in their absolute prime, and each firmly believes they're the best middleweight on earth. There's no point complicating this incredible opportunity with extra fights or unnecessary delays that serve nobody. Fans want clarity in the division rankings, and this bout delivers exactly that resolution. It promises to answer real pressing questions that need addressing. Can Sean stop Khamzat's relentless takedowns? Will Khamzat survive Sean's exhausting pace for 5 brutal rounds? This is exactly why this fight carries such massive weight in the division. So tell us in the comments below, who do you think takes this legendary battle when these two finally collide?